Hello guys, welcome to testbot test automation tutorial channel. So far we have seen microservice testing with Postman. Today we are going to see how to run the test in scheduled base as well as in command line. 5 years back when we implemented Postman for our microservices architecture, we didn't have this command line interface. We had only interface called Newman, which was provided by open source community. Now Postman itself provided the command line, which is more convenient and powerful. We can run our test using the ID from cloud, the collection ID from cloud. Let's see how we can do it. Thanks a lot. Continue watching. In last video we scheduled it. Let's see how that ran and how that result looks like. So, so this is an email report sent by Postman about the execution. So for only one iteration it ran, so we could see the result. This is exactly same the way how we ran it manually. Totally we have 27 assertions for this whole collection, 26 passed and 1 failed. If you click here it will take you to this and we could see all the summary for all the runs. So in case if you are scheduling it for a week or month, we could see each and every day what happens. By looking at this graph, we will be having good idea like how many times the pass happens, how many times the fail happen. We could see everything from here. It will give some more intuitive information over the course of time, which is quite useful. Now let's see about CLI. What is CLI? Command line interface. That something looks like this. Slightly varies between each and every operating system. So in case of Windows, you will be having something like a DOS, whereas in Linux environment you have something like bash or shell. Since I'm using a Mac, so my terminal is slightly different, but fundamentals are same, where you can run everything using a Postman CLI. You need to install the Postman CLI. So you could use this page. I can leave this page in description. You can install the Postman CLI in your machine. So each and every operating system has its own specification when it comes to installation. So whatever your operating system, you do the right selection and install it. I can show you. So this is how I can prove that I installed the Postman on my terminal. We could say here this is the version that I am going to use. If you want how to use this command line interface, even this command line interface itself has a help menu that you can use -help. It will provide you what you wanted to do. So I'm going to say Postman collection. Okay, so when I say Postman collection run, it does provide me a lot of help option which we are going to use it. Okay, so we just saw what is command line interface means. Why do we need it when we already have UI like this? Why do we need to have the command line interfaces? The reason is this kind of GUI help you out when you wanted to test manually, when you wanted to troubleshoot something. But whereas in CI/CD world, continuous integration and continuous delivery, everything has to happen automatically. So developer do the code push, it does automatically get into Jenkins or some CA tool where the code is get compiled and all the unit tests run. Then finally particular code has been pushed to some static environment like QA stage, whatever the environment. Then finally it goes to production. So in between where you need to run the test, where you need to run your functional or integration test, which we cannot use it using this GUI options like this. So what we need to do is we need to install this kind of software in the Jenkins, which we can run it automatically, meaning the build itself we can say go and fire up this command and run this collection using this particular environment. It will keep running the test, and finally it give the test result. Based on the test result, the decision will be made by Jenkins pipeline whether the code has to be promoted to the next step of the pipeline or not. In case of the closer to the production, it will make a decision whether it's ready for the production push or not. How does the pipeline knows that given command is success or not? There's a easy way to find it out in Linux. First, let's run whole collection, then I can show you the trick. To run the whole collection, this is a command. So we need to say postman collection run, postman collection run, and we need to say what is a collection ID. So the collection ID, where we can get it, we can get it from, just come over here, click this one. The moment you highlight or select this particular collection on the left hand side, you could see lot of options on the right hand side where you can click on this information, where you could get the ID of it. So just copy this ID, come over here and enter, and just enter the command, just fire the command. Okay, so the command line ran, and we could see there are 27 assertion and one got failed, which is expected. We know that. Now, how do we know, or how does the Jenkins pipeline knows this particular test succeeded or not? That is using the command is echo dollar question mark. You could see value 1. Anything other than 0, something wrong happened to the test, or something wrong happened to the command. By using this logic, Jenkins pipeline knows that the test failed and it will stop the pipeline, won't go further. Okay, how does looks like when case in case of pass, that I can quickly show. Okay, so now if you see it, all the assertions got passed, so we don't have any complaints. So I'm going to fire out the same command echo dollar question mark, and you could see the result 0, the response 0, which means last fired command succeeded. Now, how to run from cloud, how to run from locally. So whatever we are running is from the cloud, because the Postman provided this ID, which means this particular whole collection and environments corresponding entry, everything is corresponding entity, everything is in cloud. That's why the Postman provided this UID, and we are using the Postman command line utility, and we are giving this cloud ID, which will automatically pull it from the cloud. Whereas in case if you wanted to run locally, you can do that too, for which what you need to do is you need to go here, you need to export your collection. So whenever you export, you will select the collection version 2.1, export, where you will be provided an option where to store it and what name to give, but this is going to be as a JSON file. In Postman everything is JSON, so this is a collection JSON. You can store it in the place where you want. Again, it varies based on the operating system. In case if you are storing it here, you should be able to run using this command. I didn't store it, but this is how the command looks like. You need to say postman collection run that file name, the file name of the collection .json. Then it will run all the tests in it. In case if you want to pass the environment also locally, you can obviously come and export this environment. So here is an option to export it. You can just click export. Again the same thing, it will come as a JSON file. You can store it in the place, and you can simply say if any the file name. I'm just calling it out, say environment.json or qa.json, and if you run it, it will run. Right now I didn't download, I didn't export it, but you can do it. But since everything is there in cloud, there is really no point in downloading unless you have very solid reasons like security concerns. Obviously you can go. Before going, I just wanted to mention one more thing regarding the login. So whenever you wanted to run your collection, so the whatever the collection that you have is stored in a cloud in a private manner, which means it's completely secured. You need to register yourself to get this API key. So okay, so this is where you have the details about how to generate the key, everything. You could follow this step. This is much easier. You can just follow how to generate a key, and you can use that key to fire up your commands. So you could use that generated API key to run your commands, something like this. First, you have to do it very first time. Postman login with API key and your key. You need to pass it. Then the terminal or command line, it will store it for temporarily, and you can fire up lot of commands. Okay, so now let's move on. How to run specific requests. We just seen it. When I say this, it runs a whole collection. But whereas when I want to run one specific request, for example, you may need to do some kind of health check, some smoke test. Then what you need to do, just you need to call only that API. Mostly it's going to look like the get API. You can again click here, then command the information and get this ID, and you can run only one specific request for which you need to use I and command. So before that I can show you postman collection run help. So you could see hyphen I stands for the option parameter, and we need to provide ID specific request or folder. Let me go and fire up the command. It ran only one request, which is a get request, part of the positive cases folder. Part of the positive cases get user, and you could see this is the command. We need to just say the collection name. The request is part of this collection, and we are saying that run just this request, it will run it. Now how to run specific folder? The command is same, just we need to just give the folder ID. So just again click here folder, you will get information from here. Copy this and provide it, enter. See, it ran all the request part of the positive cases folder, and we could see there are 70 assertions executed, all of them are passed, and we could get 0 from the check. This is how Jenkins know the last ran command succeeded. Let's see how to run against specific environment. For example, the request we capture or the test cases that we did, we can run against any environment, QA or stage, whatever your test environment is. We really no need to duplicate the test case for each and every environment. We can simply run the same test case against any environment that we want to. Let me show you how to run that. We are going to run again all the collection, or for the simplicity I just select only one request to show the difference. So right now there's no point in giving an environment, because this particular request is hard coded with the value that we want. Let's make sure that we are passing UID. We are parameterize this one, meaning this is going to come from environment. So I need to run Now it will fail because the user ID, because it doesn't know which user ID to pick, because we didn't mention any environment, so it cannot run it. So we need to say hyphen e stands for environment, and we need to give the environment ID. Again, come over here, select the environment that you want. So to get the environment, what you need to do is you need to come here, select it, and click this little eye icon and click on edit, and it will load you the QA environment, the corresponding environment. Now you have to click on this I symbol to get this ID. Okay. So the thing is, when we are running environment variable, so we need to make sure that the value that we are sending in initial value, like when you're trying to edit the environment, you could see there are two columns. So whatever the value stored against this initial value is the one going to get stored in cloud. But whereas this value, that's something you can change it locally. The value that is entered here never goes to server. That's what this particular small icon says. So now the test case failed because the value that we are sending is 4, which doesn't exist in this mock server. Now let's see what is the value that we are having it in stage edit. Okay, so if we say stage environment, we need to give the ID of the this stage environment. Copy here, enter. So I'm expecting the user ID should be 250. So you can see here 250 and says 404 user doesn't exist. So this way I improve that we can switch between the environments. How to override the values? When do we need to override the values in command line? For example, you may have lot of errors in environment. This is a small sample application. We don't have any many things in the environment variable, but you may need to enter so many other things as part of the environment, like the host detail, domain, credentials in case if needed, some IDs. There could be so many things which you may need override dynamically. So the situation varies between each and every team. Let's assume that you wanted to pass some token which is valid for only 10 minutes, that provided by some other process, that you can fetch it one or other way and you can pass it to the command line utility. Let's see how we can do that. For which again let's refer the help. Okay. So for example, if you look at, if you wanted to override the value, you can override global value as well as environment variable. Just you need to say hyphen hyphen nv var then key value. Let's see how we can do that. So last time I ran this get user request using the stage environment. Now I have an option of overriding this one. Var, I'm going to use the user ID, the user ID variable name from the collection equal to, right now we have the value as a 250, which I am going to dynamically overwrite it. So I'm going to overwrite with value 1. So I'm exporting, this will get overwritten and user ID 1 should be called. Okay, great. It called the user and we got the response code as a 200. Some certain assertions fail. Let's again override, and this time we give user ID 2 and we are expecting the test to be passed. Yes, so we called this user ID and we know this user ID is a Janet. That's why all the corresponding assertions got passed. This is how we can override. Overriding option is really powerful and useful. Definitely you may need it when you are putting your pipe, when you are putting all your tests in pipeline. Now it's a time to discuss about how to handle skip scenario. So I already explained about the workflow or chain in the previous video, where we wanted to create an user and we wanted to get that created user and we wanted to update that user. Okay, so since this is a mock, whatever the user ID that we are creating, it's not going to be stored there, stored in their backend system, because of which we won't get the ID that we created as part of this call. For example, if I do it and I get 629, if I try to call this using this 629, this call API going to fail because of the mock. Whereas what happens cases like this, if you are in your system, if this happens, there is no point in proceeding with the rest of the calls like update, login and delete, because create user itself is not succeeded. Then what is the point in going to the rest of the steps? That's where the statement like this will help you out to skip the flow, which saves a lot of time. Anyway, the test is failed, the important request is failed, then there is no point in proceeding to the rest of the assertion. So let's see. So it's already enabled. Let's see what happens if you are running this. So what is going to happen? We are going to run the positive cases. It will run one after other. The moment it created a user, when we call this particular API, this mock will pretend like it created, and this particular ID will be stored dynamically using line of this line of code, which will override the value dynamically, and the rest of the test is going to stop. Okay, let's see how we can do this. For this, I'm going to just use it past two cases folder, selecting this and going to run it. Okay, this is expected. This is what we want. For example, get users. This always passes because we are trying to get all the users from the system. This is where we are creating a user dynamically. There are some names we are already captured as part of the request, and this is the response we got. Then when we are trying to call this doesn't exist because of the mock issues. If you look at here, it did not proceed to rest of the request, which is what we wanted. That's it, guys. This is what I wanted to explain as part of today's video. Mainly, I wanted to focus on command line interface and schedule run. In the next video, we can see what are the cons we have and how we can overcome using different language and frameworks. Thanks a lot. Bye.